On.
Go right to his head here.
Shall I change this?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, this is the work session. That's what you need. This is the normal agenda.
We ready? All right, calling to order the April 15th, 2025 meeting of the Long Lake City Council. Good evening, everyone. It's 6:30 p.m. All council members are present this evening. Let's start with item number 2, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to item 3, mayor's comments, Long Lake news, meeting reviews, and updates. Just a couple updates this evening. Not a whole lot happening as far as community events that have occurred in the last couple of weeks. I want to highlight that on April 3rd, I went to the state capitol along with our city administrator and our contracted city engineer, and we testified for a bill in the legislature and the House of Representatives for a bonding bill for Long Lake. An approximately $11 million request for bonding for Grand Avenue project and adjacent streets. We testified in front of a committee there, and we'll see as the legislature progresses whether or not we are lucky enough to obtain that funding. There's quite a few demands, quite a few cities, counties submitting bonding bill requests this year, so the odds are probably against us, but appreciate Representative Andrew Myers for sponsoring the legislation, as well as Senator Ann Johnson as well in the Senate for sponsoring that. So that was on the 3rd. Yesterday, I attended an event with Representative Kelly Morrison, U.S. Representative Kelly Morrison. She held an event for local mayors in her district. She had a breakfast, got updates about what's going on in D.C., and then she also received updates from all the mayors as to major events, things occurring in their cities, demands that they have, or requests that they have for federal assistance. Fire departments were a common theme. There was 3 cities there besides ours that were in talks to merge their fire departments, and Orono Mayor was there as well, and we certainly brought her up to speed on negotiations going on here regarding our fire department situation. So that was a hot topic. We mentioned all the mayors that were in attendance mentioned the financial constraints on fire departments and equipment and that sort of thing. So good event there. Appreciate the invite to that. And to mark your calendar for May 4th, Sunday, May 4th, for the Long Lake Fire Department Pancake Breakfast. Coming up here before we know it. Always a great event. I know the chief and his colleagues are stocking up on maple syrup and batter and eggs and all that kind of thing. So hopefully the cost doesn't go up too much this year with the price of eggs and the tariff on those on that Canadian maple syrup, but we'll see how that all goes. So make sure to attend that event. All right, with that, we'll move on to item 4, which is to approve this evening's agenda. Accept a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 5, consent agenda. Items A through D on the consent agenda this evening. Any questions for staff regarding items on the consent agenda? All right. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I can make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 6, open correspondence. Open correspondence is an item on the agenda during which the public may address the city council. No formal action is taken by the city council, and comments shall be limited to 5 minutes or less. And open correspondence comments may also be emailed to city staff by noon on the date of the meeting. Anyone wish to approach this evening for open correspondence? Yes.
Hello, good evening. Kelly Grady, 271 Green Hill Lane, Long Lake. I just wanted to come and speak about the item number 7, about the fire amendment, the agreement for contract for fire protection. And I just wanted to say I attended the Orono City Council meeting last night, which was a marathon with a lot of discussion. And a lot of voices were heard, and I appreciated the ability to finally do that. One of the things I will say about Long Lake is that I have really appreciated your steady hand through all of this. The open communication that you've provided when you hosted several open forums, which invited our neighboring city of Orono residents to attend and stay up to date on this. I've really appreciated the honest reporting from this council and the correct data that was presented when false data was being given to justify the need for a duplicative and redundant fire department, and also the commitment to public safety from the Long Lake Fire Department, who and the firefighters who have continued through really unsteady times to remain dedicated to their post and to what is the priority here in this community, which is keeping people safe. This has been an incredibly difficult time. And although I can only speak for myself, I know there are a lot of fire families, not just in Long Lake and Orono, who have been keeping a very close eye on Long Lake. I receive emails from them all of the time from other cities, far cities in the Twin Cities, that have nothing to do with this debate. They have got no dog in the race, as they say, but they have all been really cheering from the sidelines, and I've really appreciated that. Some of the comments that I heard last night at the meeting included a comment from Chief 2 Shay Chilakowski. Sorry if I butchered your last name, Shay. But he made a comment that you will, to the Orono Council, that you will pay more to fix what was never broken. Now, he was making a defense that the Orono Fire Department is never broken, and I will say that I couldn't agree with Shay more. They will pay more to fix what was never broken. The Long Lake Fire Department was never broken. And they have proven that through their current budgets that has been presented and honestly through the divisive nature of everything that's been happening in this community. There is a cost to that is not, there's no dollar amount, and it's depressing and hard. I also, another firefighter, Orono firefighter, came up and asked for made a request for mediation if this council chooses to vote tonight to approve the amendment tonight, that there would be some sort of mediation or something to help bring the firefighters together. This is not lost on Long Lake leadership that this has been incredibly difficult. It's not lost on Long Lake families that this has been incredibly difficult. And I think anything that we can do to support them in an effort to come back together would be greatly appreciated. And that's something I've been talking about for a long time, so I'd appreciate that as a consideration. And then just, I regret that I can't stay for the entire meeting tonight. I have to be gone, I have to go, but I will be watching, and I'm hopeful that this council will continue to push forward with the initiatives that they have been from day one, which is keeping this department together and moving forward into a shared services agreement with our surrounding municipalities. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly. All right. Anyone else for public comment? Yes, sir.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, Brian Miller, 295 Lakeview Avenue. Just want to say congratulations for getting to agenda item 7A. I wanted to reflect back a little bit, back to the year 2022, when this all really started to fire up and become contentious. But I really just want to say congratulations on getting to this point. We couldn't have done it without a council like this. I've said it before. Even Todd Newcomer, who is a private citizen, stepped up in the community and spoke up, did a great job. And for Chief Highland stepping in to become new chief for Long Lake, turned out to be a godsend. And the city staff as well. They've done a fantastic job over the past couple of years. And I am so sorry you had to go through this. It didn't have to happen. It was all created by Mayor Walsh and his cabal, as I like to call it. And, we're all paying a price for it. But, and also to, the residents. A lot of residents stepped up and had the life sucked out of them too for getting to this point. So good luck from moving on from 7A and beyond.
Thank you, Brian. Anyone else for public or open correspondence? Yes, sir.
I'm Gabriel Jabbour, 985 Tonkawa Road, Orono, Minnesota. Well, I thought it's only appropriate that when things go right, we do show up, because people always show up when things are going wrong. And I, as a person who live in this community and don't define where I live by the physical border of a city, because that doesn't determine my quality of life, I'm here to really thank you guys for staying the course, for taking all the abuse from our former council. I wouldn't say mayor, the whole council, except for Elisa towards the end. And I was a little frustrated. You were a little bit too slow for me, but I'm always on 300 miles an hour. And I really, really appreciate that. And good things happen when we work together. The city chamber they're sitting in happened because we worked together. For those who's not aware of it, nor I'm trying to get credit or anything, I represented Long Leg in the condemnation. After they put you in condemnation, gave you quick claim for $360,000, we got $7.2 million. So when we work together, good things happen. I didn't mean to be bragging about it, although I'm proud of it. Anyway, so you guys really stayed the course and prevailed. And good should always prevail over evil. That's what I believe in my life. There's only one little big hang-up for me. I was really grateful for Gina, and when you told me she's no longer around, then I said, what? And I've been on the phone with her, and she's been a great asset to me personally, of bouncing things, looking at the lay of the land. I didn't seek everybody. I figured you got so busy doing the work, you don't need more coaching, you need more foot soldiers. But I've been on dialogue with the mayor, and the mayor and my daughter went to school together. We lived all on Stubbs Bay together. So it's kind of like we really are a community, and I really encourage you to re-engage. Have a barbecue, invite them, do something. I don't know what it is. And let's just try to resolve that lawsuit, because me and Jim White, former mayor, Barbara Peterson, filed an amicus brief on your side. And that coming for a hearing very soon in May for oral the argument, and it'd really be helpful if we don't be in court again, you and them. I mean, it's time to bring together now, because something's going to happen between the attorneys or so, that is going to ignite a little brush fire. That's my opinion. Thank you for your time, and I'm sorry if I took more than your 5 minutes.
No.
Thank you again.
Great, thank you, Mayor Jabbour. Appreciate you coming. Anyone else? Welcome, Mayor Holtman.
Tim M. Holtman, 280 Lakeview Avenue. June of 2022, I had the pleasure of speaking to the Orono City Council, and these are the minutes from my speech. And it only could last 3 minutes, by the way. Timothy M. Holtman, 280 Lakeview Avenue, Long Lake, is almost 44-year resident of Long Lake, 46 years now because this is 2022, and a former member of the Long Lake Planning Commission, EDA Board, member of the City Council, former mayor, has been following the ongoing saga of Mayor Walsh's determined effort to control the Long Lake Fire Department. Regarding the residents and businesses serviced by the Long Lake Fire Department and firefighters, Mr. Holtman would like to see Mayor Walsh to put aside his ego and accept the offer from Long Lake in purchasing the station. Station 1 at Willow Drive in Orono. To quote a former Excelsior resident speaking to Mick Jagger some 50 years ago, you can't always get what you want. And he didn't get what he wanted, so thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Holtman. All right. Anyone else? And no submitted email submissions?
Nothing, thank you.
All right. Great. With that, we'll move on to item 7A, regular business. Discuss and approve First Amendment to Agreement and Contract for Fire Protection. Scott, are you going to kick this one off?
Sure.
Started?
Thanks, Mayor. So I am happy to introduce the First Amendment to the agreement from 2002, which was set to expire December 31st, 2025. In the body, you'll see that it highlights kind of where we're at, how we got here, and both cities' intents moving forward. Also in the agreement is an Exhibit C, and that is the two departments' goals of how they're going to work together and go through this transition, because in Exhibit D, both cities have agreed to negotiate a joint powers agreement, fire district, or some kind of partnership. And so with those terms kind of being set, that's going to be the second part of this transition. So the first one's going to be working together, and the second part is going to be moving to more of a joint powers or fire district model. And I guess I'm going to turn over to Charlie, because this is a product of the hard work of both cities negotiating back and forth for a good 4 months. So I want him to kind of show what's going on if there's any questions, but staff is here also to answer any questions that may come up.
Great. And does staff have a recommendation on this, or you recommend?
So staff does recommend the motion to approve the First Amendment of the agreement as stated in the memo.
Great, okay. Yeah, so this is something that Councilmember Dybek and I have been working on for pretty much since the first of the year, meeting with our counterparts in Orono, which on their negotiating committee, which is Mayor Thunheim and Councilmember Steve Persian. Been meeting quite a bit, gotten to know each other very, very, very much over these last few months, and great representatives of their city. They want to work with Long Lake and surrounding cities and continue the partnership that our cities have had for many years, minus a bump or two on the road. Get the elements here to get our, consolidate our fire departments, get them back together kind of the way it was before July 1st of last year, when previous Orono Council chose to go in a different direction and create their own independent fire department. This will bring many facets of that department back together, along with continuing on the part-time duty crew model that they've implemented over there, using part-time employees that serve the majority of the daytime now and the majority of the day, and they'll be able to scale those hours back once Long Lake Fire is reintroduced into the service area, because we have a lot more Long Lake firefighters than Orono had paid-on-call firefighters. In fact, in my understanding, there's about 7 paid-on-call Orono firefighters left, and 5 of those 7 are also Long Lake firefighters. So kind of a lot of redundancies there, and carrying multiple pagers and things like that. So as Scott said, the First Amendment lays out an extension, or kind of is Orono requesting to add a service area back in to be served by the Long Lake Fire Department, the Navarre service area, as well as allows some extension of the current contract, which currently expires on December 31st of this year. Some language allowing an extension to occur. So some good language in there. And then, as was mentioned, there's a couple of map exhibits that have to outline the CAD service area that would be requested. Orono would be requesting to have Long Lake Fire respond to as well, which includes the 2 bays in Lake Minnetonka that were sort of pulled out as part of this deal as well last year, and then Exhibit D is perhaps the best part. It lays out a course for the future. It lays out the path for a jointly operated fire department between the 2 cities and hopefully other partner cities as well. There's some language in there about potentially someday creating a fire district, taxable fire district, and lays out a lot of the parameters. Not every minute detail. It's not meant to do that, but at least it will lay out the framework of what a future fire department would look like that's operated by both cities. And that is something that we've been pushing for all along. We've got many letters that we've sent to Orono over the last few years. We've done presentations on this, saying Long Lake has never wanted to be in the position that we must have absolute control over our fire department. In fact, we have not, as the contract showed, we didn't have absolute control over our fire department when it came to some things like capital budgets and annual budgets and things like that. But we did want to have a stake in the fire department. It's been the Long Lake Fire Department since 1915, 110 years now, so we weren't willing to just simply turn over the keys to our fire department to the previous Orono City Council. So I'm very thankful that the residents of Orono recognized the situation and stepped up to allow a new council to come in and work actually with their neighboring city, Long Lake, and create a partnership for the future for fire service that both cities can be proud of, and hopefully, and most importantly, that our firefighters can be proud of as well as they put their lives on the line to serve our communities. So I think there's a lot of great things in here. There's, as I think Councilmember Persian said last night, there's not, these documents are not perfect for either city. There's always give and take when it comes to negotiations, and you're never going to get exactly what you want, but I think there's a really good balance here for both cities to be able to come out on the positive end and move forward together, and have our firefighters move forward and kind of improve some morale issues that are going on and give them just really a hope for the future. And I know leadership has already been talking about recruiting and getting an exciting time now going forward with a new department in the future, kind of a consolidated department. And there's been members of the community that have been kind of sitting back on the sidelines and saying, hey, why would I want to step up to become a firefighter for a department that may or may not exist in 12 months or something like that. So now there'll be a very clear path forward where hopefully more members of our community will be willing to step up and be part of a great new department going forward. So those are some thoughts that I had. I don't know, Councilmember Dybek, did you want to have any other reflections on our?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to Mayor Thunheim and to Steve Persian for working with Charlie and myself for these 4 months. We've had a lot of meetings with them, and they haven't always been easy, but I think we have mutual respect. I respect them, and I think they respect us, and we're rebuilding trust. And I think that's an important piece of this, to get back to, having a relationship based on trust where there was none before. And so I'm excited for this. Like, as Charlie said, this is our position has been really since 2017, Scott, when we had that initial draft of a JPA. That's been our goal from the very beginning, and we've been steadfast in that. We've never deviated from that. We've never wanted. We've been willing to give up, operational authority and put it under an independent fire board. That's what we've said from day one. And that's where this is moving, and I'm excited for that. And one thing that was important to us was in that transition to have all the paid-on-call firefighters in one group, in one department. There's been some discussion I've seen about how that's going to go, and we believe that for the sake of morale, you need to have unity among the firefighters, and we didn't want an us versus them thing going on, even in this 8-month transition period, but have it to be a cohesive group, because when you have positive morale, that's going to impact public safety. I mean, when you trust the guy that you're fighting next to you, and Cody and Mike, you can say this better than I can, but you have to have absolute trust for these guys that you're working side by side with. And that's going to impact how effective you are as a firefighter. And so for the sake of public safety, that morale was important to me, and in order to maintain that, or to keep that at its highest level, it was important to have all the paid-on-call guys and gals under one roof, under one department, as we move to this JPA and ultimately, hopefully, district as we go there. So just thanks to those guys for putting in the time, and I'm glad that we're where we are now, and the work isn't finished. I mean, we certainly have more work to do, but this is a pretty major hurdle if we, all three cities approve this. And we don't want to forget about Medina either, because they're a key part of this. I mean, Orono and Long Lake has kind of been working out the major differences here, but we want to Medina to be part of this JPA discussion as well. They don't have to be, but we invite them to be, so that we can continue that relationship with them going forward. So that's it.
Yeah, that's a great summary, and Councilmember Persian put together a lot of the operational details in Exhibit C, along with, our input. And what I envision is that we're kind of giving our fire department leadership, hopefully an easy-to-work template on a silver platter, and hopefully they can kind of take that and work the operational details out. We want to kind of step back from this point forward, let the fire professionals work on those operational details that are laid out in Exhibit C, and as far as training and equipment sharing and staffing and those sorts of things. So we'll look to those professionals to do that. I know they will do that. And so there's been some critique that maybe there's too many, the elected officials are doing all the work here and that sort of thing, but that was really just to get things started. Now we'll let the leadership take it from here.
Well, yeah, and I would have preferred this agreement be much shorter than it is.
Yeah.
Trust me, and put those decisions on Long Lake fire leadership as well as Orono fire leadership, and to work those details out operationally and so forth. So maybe we got a little bit too into the weeds on this, but it kind of went that way, and we are where we are. But we're still going to rely heavily on the fire leadership to figure out how to make this work operationally and be successful in that.
Yeah, exactly. And just an update on the legal action we were forced to take against the previous Orono City Council for breaching the contract that we were in with them. That is still it's still in progress, but we're very much now, this is laid out here in many parts of these documents, is working out on a settlement to get that past us now, and work to get that wrapped up as soon as we can, so we can focus on the future. So just a little update there as well. And so the Orono City Council passed a resolution last night to allow their mayor to sign this First Amendment. And is our hope that the Medina City Council, who will be meeting in about 5 minutes, will be doing the same thing as well. And then hopefully here in a minute or two or a couple minutes, we'll approve this as well. So it does take all three cities to, since we are all contract cities in this agreement, we need to all pass those. Any council members, anything else you want to add in? This has been a long road for all of us. And
Yeah, I also want to thank Pershing, Thunheim, and then Charlie and John. I mean, I know you guys put in a huge amount of effort, and I feel like we spent a lot of time on this too, but I know it's probably like 1% of the amount of time you guys spent. So it's a huge effort.
Thanks.
Really appreciate it. It's an awesome thing. And I think you mentioned it as well. This doesn't get us done. It's the first step, and it puts us on the right trajectory. And to me, that's what's exciting, is that it feels like we're going in the right direction here. So very cool.
So I'm going to let John, do you want to make the motion?
wow.
Sure. Well, and before I do that, I was just going to say that for those who aren't following the details of this, this First Amendment is largely just returning those 2 CAD zones that were removed last July, was it?
Effective July.
Yeah, so it's the CAD zones that cover Forest Lake and North Arm of Lake Minnetonka. And really, that's kind of the meat of this amendment. But then we added on, these exhibits that commit us to sort of not stop there, but now let's get to this JPA discussions, and let's get to the JPA, and let's settle the lawsuit and things like that. So, but as far as what we're deciding on right here is simply the return of those CAD zones, and then operationally how we're going to operate for these next 8 months until
And some joint cooperation between the...
Right. So yeah, I'll make a motion, and it's short and sweet. A motion to approve the First Amendment to agreement and contract for fire protection.
I'll second that. Yes, yes. All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Excellent, excellent. Thanks for all your work on that. And should also point out former Councilmember Joyce, who's Councilmember Newcomer replaced, but she was a big part of this as well, and working through this with us for the couple of years that she was on the council, the 4 years she was on the council. So team effort, and then staff, of course, as well. And Chief Highland and Assistant Chief Farley, you've been through a lot as well, and you guys have been kind of the captains of the ship here, keeping it afloat for the last several years here now. So we very much appreciate your leadership and bringing this, keeping the team as cohesive as it possibly could be over these last couple of years through very challenging times for our fire department. So appreciate your work on that.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And I've heard you referred to as a player's coach, kind of a fire chief, which I think is, you have a lot of respect from your firefighters, I believe, because you're there in the trenches with them if you have to be, right? That's the word I've heard.
Thank you very much.
So
I
thanks for doing
appreciate that. And, the fire department has the respect of the council as well, and they appreciate all you've done over the past couple of years. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that. All right. With that, then we move on to item 7B. This is about review city council code of conduct policy. I think Jeanette's going to kick this one off for us.
Thank you, Mayor. Earlier in the year, we started looking at a draft ordinance to amend Chapter 2 of our city code, the administration section, to deal with council salaries, adopting a schedule for...
There we go.
Okay. To adopt a salary schedule moving forward with a regular escalator so that we could deal with council salaries in perpetuity, essentially. But then, when I took a look at that section, I realized how much content was truly missing compared to your average municipal code. Things like establishing council order of business at meetings, meeting schedules. So the draft that you originally saw was probably about 2 to 3 pages. I think I have it at about 8 or 9 now. But it's thorough and addresses some things that haven't been in our code that I think, things like establishing a policy for background checks. I was a little surprised as I was checking our code to realize there was nothing anywhere that kind of talked about that. So using an opportunity to really put in some great language that reflects our operations. But as part of that, we have had some discussion, I know previously, about city council codes of conduct. And over the last few years, I think we've seen more and more Minnesota cities begin to adopt and enact these. And I just thought I'd read straight from the packet what the goal of adopting these codes of conduct for city councils really has been. And in my mind, reading the bullets, goals are to foster transparency, trust, and confidence in local government, to highlight relevant state laws such as open meeting law, and statutes that govern the roles of our elected officials, to identify best practices to help set the tone for council member professionalism in both public and private interactions, to establish guidelines to improve collaboration and maintain a positive, respectful culture at City Hall and at council meetings, and last but not least, to provide a tool to assist in the orientation process for newly elected city council members, which I really think can actually come in handy. We really haven't had something like this that talks not just about the legalese of becoming a council member, but also a little bit about the atmosphere of doing so. So at any rate, with that in mind, I reviewed a number of cities' examples of codes of conduct and prepared a draft. I emailed you earlier today. Our city attorney did take a look at the draft and had some recommendations, particularly in the conflict of interest section. I can show you on the overhead if you'd like to see the redlined version.
That would be great, because we didn't really have a chance to.
Yep. His changes were generally very minor until we reached the conflict of interest section, where I think he believed it was maybe important to be a little more concise and a little less Jeanette rambling.
So a lot of this references statute. A lot of this is based on statute.
Yes, a lot of this is, and I have included some statutory references. And these were also common in a lot of the codes of conduct I saw. I found it helpful. I actually, when I was doing this, I was referring back to the statutes to read them and take a look at them myself and make sure the references were accurate. So, as you can see on page 1, it was, you know, very minor stuff here, just adding a sentence here or two that he was a fan of. This is where it gets a little bigger. So I had these sections about contractual conflict of interest versus non-contractual conflict of interest. And I'll be very honest, I did steal those from another city's code. He preferred this paragraph version here. So I had emailed out this updated version earlier today, not in a red line. So instead of these multiple paragraphs here, he recommended consolidating conflict of interest to this paragraph. Members shall not participate in a matter before the city council that affects the member's financial interests or those of a business with which the member is associated unless the effect on the member or business is no greater than on other members of the same business classification, profession, or occupation. Though often not prohibited by state law, interested members should also seek to abstain from any matter in which the specific circumstances may compromise a member's objectivity. Members should disclose all conflicts of interest and potential conflicts of interest to the city council, and then moving on, and abstain from the council's discussion, debate, and vote upon a matter under review if a conflict is determined to exist. So that was really the big change. The rest of this is, as you see, little stuff. There's nothing, just caught an extra D there on the last page. But generally, comments were very mild with the exception of that section. And after reading it, I do feel like he did a much better job with that than I did. So, this is, although it is a draft I'm putting for you before you this, that it is pretty thorough, maybe more so than you might see. It kind of represents some common language from larger cities and smaller cities, and I feel like that's a standard that Long Lake can sometimes strive for, because while we're a small town, we're also very much in the metropolitan area. And so that's why I tried to be maybe a little bit more substantive than a 2-page document on this one.
Great.
I have a couple options before the council, which would be option A. If you like the draft and you know, with John's changes and you feel good about where it's at, staff is happy to recommend a motion to adopt the City Council Code of Conduct policy. And with that, we'll be able to cross-reflect that in the new chapter we're doing. You have some amendments. Adopt it with amendments, we can certainly do that. Otherwise, if this is kind of rushing it, we're happy to take direction and bring this back before you at another meeting, so.
I have one question. So,
Sure.
you know, it's a little kind of like, if ever you have a hearing to defend yourself if you violated this conflict of interest and violates the law or standard has occurred, the council may censor, refer the matter for criminal prosecution. So the criminal prosecution, I'm just curious, none of this is criminal in here. So this is not a criminal statute.
No, this is not necessarily, no, but accepting gifts is one example.
So this would be under a criminal statute.
Right, there are certain things that if you were to violate them in a manner that is very egregious, like a really aggressive conflict of interest, or accepting a very large gift, that would
And
be
you wouldn't
a
need this
criminal act.
you wouldn't need this to prosecute somebody for that anyways, because they come under a criminal statute.
That's true. The intent of that language, and, you know, obviously John took a look at that as well, is the intent of this language is to keep the options open so that whatever the matter is, if it does have to come to a hearing, if an investigation finds that that's warranted, then A, of course, the subject of the hearing has the right to be heard and be present, but B, depending on the manner of the violation, the option of doing something like censuring, referring for criminal prosecution, requesting council members, don't participate in a decision or other action as deemed appropriate in consultation with the city's legal counsel. So the idea is to keep all of your options available to you as a council.
And, I mean, we could refer to criminal prosecution. I'm
Right.
assuming that this kind of absolves kind of gives them the right to do it, the city council, so it absolves them from liability for moving forward with something that doesn't amount to criminal behavior.
Essentially, that's the intent. If the council is reporting something for criminal prosecution, you have a document, a policy that you are adhering to that states that you have the right to do that.
It seems, I'm just saying this because criminal prosecution, I mean, I understand you've violated the law, and I don't know what the requirements are for a city required to report. I assume they have a legal requirement to report something that could be criminally prosecuted, do they? And whether this is something that should be in a different part, I mean.
I think that as John, as our city attorney reviewed it, I think he to be appropriate where it was, because again, focus on the criminal prosecution portion of the sentence, but to focus on all of the measures that a council has.
Because if somebody's taking a bribe to throw a vote one way, they're going to get trouble. And it's not going to be here that they're kind of looking at the authority to do it.
Right, but
Right.
if something were to come out at a council meeting and it happened here the first time, basically this is to establish all options for
Okay.
council action.
Because the criminal part seems like, are we elevating it to
We-
criminal when it's not really criminal?
No, that is
just
just one bullet
refer
point
to-
of,
Okay.
yes,
Can't
the intent
serve-
is not to go straight to that. It's only to have that in the kit if it is deemed appropriate.
And that is usually a higher level of bad.
That's a good.
Correct.
Is that the law school term for that? I like that.
I kind of want that for a bumper sticker, but yes, that is 100% accurate.
6 years of law school, whatever got you. That's good.
So I have a question, and I mean, I like the theme of this. Is there something for like appointed? I mean, you could see a situation where there's a planning commission thing that there's going to be open hearing that, the bribe situation, could there be
Yeah.
something that guides that conversation? Or somebody comes in here from city XYZ and says, I am on the Parks Commission and I'm here speaking to you. Well, are you speaking as Parks Commission or not? Just like kind of that representation.
Honestly, I don't think it would be difficult to modify the entire language, and you mentioned that, and I almost went there, is the honest truth. Some of the examples that I saw were focused solely on their city council as elected officials, but many of in fact, I would argue all of the provisions of law that are referenced, general standards of conduct, apply just as much to appointed board and commission members as they do to city councils. It would not be hard to amend this to add a bunch of magic words to commission or board everywhere where it says city council. So ultimately, is probably the word that censuring. So that, but yes, if the council did want to direct that we extend this to cover expectations of the boards and commissions as well,
Yeah.
that would not be hard to do.
Yeah, personally, I
I'd
like
like to
that.
see that,
Yeah, and I mean, and granted,
Yep,
they're, planning and
certainly.
parks are advisory, but they're still very influential, so.
Certainly. So what that would cover then would be the appointed positions. That would be board and a large member of the city council.
Yeah, I like that.
One versus.
We
ones.
certainly can do. Say that if we were doing one for the commissions only, I see that the would be very, very similar. So I don't think that it would be hard to go back and add commissions are held to open meeting, are held to of those. So I don't think it would be difficult to do. Just kind of dig back in and add those words, commissions and boards after city council in a lot of places.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. That might as well get her done the right way the first time. As long as everybody agrees not to do anything egregious the next couple weeks before this is implemented, I think we'll be
Yes.
fine.
Get
Please
it out
don't
of your
accept
system.
any
We'll
$5,000
make sure we're not
gifts.
doing background checks, right? That's when I. Sure.
We're especially doing
Just
one on
check.
Yeah, so it, you know, with that direction, I'd be happy to make those adjustments and bring that back in an upcoming meeting if the council would like me to do so.
So is that C, option C then, or,
Certainly, and no motion is required.
oh, okay.
On the other hand, if you simply love the language exactly as is and just want me to make an amendment to reflect boards and commissions where appropriate, I'm happy to do that too. But I would, you know, I'd
Maybe we
like
can-
you to feel confident in the document you have in front of you. So I'd be happy to just do the amendments and bring it back.
So Jeanette, in terms of, okay, so this is all, a lot of it seems to be, let's say, common sense.
Yes.
And so when you do get somebody new on a council, I know they go through a lot of training, but the planning commission checklist that you could put off, like, hey, you know, most people know about the open meeting law. You know, if you have a financial interest or something, or somehow affiliated to an issue, and that your judgment's in bias, that you should recuse yourself. Is there like just a quick sheet that you can give people as a reminder?
There isn't yet. I will say that a 4-page document that covers a lot of that is a lot easier than days worth of questions. We don't really have materials like that. Or, you know, with council coming in, you have the opportunity to attend the League of Minnesota Cities wonderful newly elected officials training. Appointed positions don't have necessarily that same opportunity. It doesn't exist for them. This could kind of become that guiding document.
Kind of like a checklist, like a little even pared down?
I could use it
To make a checklist?
once adopted to kind of create a checklist for, yes, I don't think that would be hard to do.
And the reason why I'm suggesting that is a lot of times this gets overlooked.
Yes,
Yeah. No?
yes. And with this tool in its final form adopted, it would be something that anytime we have a new appointee, I'd actually give it to everybody, to be quite honest with you. I'd make sure everybody had a copy of it in their possession that is a current member of any board or commission, so they can see what the council adopted as guiding principles for the council and for its boards and commissions that advise them. But it also would become a tool that we would immediately hand to anyone coming in into a position as a new elected official or appointed official. Something we can hand them right away that says, be aware of this. I recall actually, Councilmember Newcomer, when you were first elected, before you'd had the chance to go to that newly elected officials training, I remember sitting there one day thinking, you know, since he's in the office, I should see if he's aware of open meeting law and what that means.
Which was very helpful.
Because you don't find out about those things in detail generally until you get through that training. So my hope is that, you know, this can become a good resource to help with some of that early education while we're working to prepare anyone for their position.
Great. Well, yeah, like it's fine tunes and run it by the into after you do that. Just make
Yes.
sure you didn't catch anything that
100%, yes.
during that. So that sounds good. Option
Okay.
C it is, and no motion necessary.
Thank you
All right,
very much
thanks
for
for-
taking the time to read through that.
Getting closer. Great start. Like we've said before, we don't have any issues now. We got a great council now, but might as well get something like this put in place before to prevent any issues from occurring. All right. With that, we'll move on to item 8, other business already. So go around the room here. Councilmember Newcomer.
I know.
All right. Councilmember Feldman.
I'm good, thank you.
All right. Councilmember Dybek.
Nothing from me.
All right. I think I covered my item well.
Last week, we approved the Bidco agreement, franchise agreement for publication, and I think Sean might have been contacted.
Actually, Jim with the LMCC, Jim Lundberg, he had reached out. I've been contacted as well. I was contacted directly by a representative from Midco, but also Jim sent out an email to the cities to collect a lot of information about the right-of-way permit process
Okay.
and primary contacts. So I think that he could put that all together in one package for Midco. I did also speak with Midco directly. So yeah, they have everything they need. I also linked our forms in my response to Jim, so they've got everything they need from us to start making applications. And I'd be happy to let the council know when we receive one. I know it's something we're very excited about, so competition would be good in the telecommunications area around here.
Yep.
Right.
Well, we'll see
Yes,
how
bring-
that.
Bringing fiber to Long Lake, so that's exciting. I know the Maple Plain mayor mentioned the other day that Maple Plain has signed a separate franchise agreement since they're not part of the LMCC. So their Midco is definitely, and then Orono has, of course, and so Midco is definitely making the rounds here amongst all our neighboring cities. So it'll be good. All right, anything else, Deirdre?
Oh, that's it.
All right, Scott?
It didn't snow today.
Yeah. First time in like 2 months, right?
That's
with
true.
meetings, Yeah.
Right, so no, that's all I got.
We broke this.
And you gotta go home and file their taxes after this, or just a reminder, friendly reminder? Okay, all right, good,
Yeah.
good. All right, chief.
I'm good, thank you.
All right, great. Jeanette?
I will have one ordinance coming in front of the council in May. We're gonna go ahead and get that fencing amendments ordinance taken care of. So we'll have that on the May 13th Planning Commission meeting and subsequently on the council meeting to follow.
Did that go through the planning commission already?
It will go to planning commission on
Okay.
May 13th, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we're excited about it because it's a frequent ask about border tie-in fence, update fence, which were really actually restrictive. We were a 6-foot fence, no matter what, around pools.
No covers or,
Well, regardless of covers, because covers can fail, auto covers can fail, but most communities go with at least 4 feet approach. So we reduced and went with the standard rather than being the exception, so.
Standard is
4 feet,
4 feet.
minimum 4-foot security fence, yes. So we went with that approach. So I think we have a good document put together for the planning commission to review, and it's a little more common sense, quite frankly.
Nice, nice. Okay,
Yeah, I always remember to get my born on April 5th for the write-off or the deduction. Got it.
yes.
Thank you very
that's
much.
Awesome.
There's an ice cream shop coming to town?
There
Oh,
is-
yeah.
I got the building permit actually yesterday, and it's in review right now. So yeah, that
where's
should
it
be.
going?
It'll be in what we. So, our grand opening, a spinning wheel and face painting and some ice cream specials. It'll be called Shivers.
Embrace the cold is their motto.
We're excited about it.
Pretty good, actually.
Did you
We're
come up with
excited
that?
about
or-
No, but we know the family pretty well.
Oh,
Their
good.
daughter and our daughter swim together, so.
Good, yeah.
Nice.
No, we're very much looking forward to it. Permits are moving forward. Back in I should see it. And off and away they'll go.
Will it be sit down?
It's not very,
Days, so I'm sure there would be probably sit down.
yeah.
It's,
Not yet.
so we do the one, and do we want the to open up for operation yet?
It'll be June that is looking.
Got it?
Yeah.
Great.
I was just gonna let council know that week, Jeff from WSP was here and we had the bid opening for the pavement management project. And bids came in lower than they were expecting, which is wonderful news.
Nice, nice.
So we're moving forward with that and under budget, which is finance I'm extremely pleased about.
That is scheduled for the May 6th agenda right
Yes,
now.
yes, they'll be presenting for me,
Okay,
so,
got it.
yes.
And thanks again for the time you spent with me going over all the budgeting stuff.
You
That
are
was
more than
great.
welcome, yes.
She took a lot of time and they'll dig deep into how things work. helped me out extensively. So.
Oh, good.
I thought if we were gonna put the first quarter on consent, I better make sure that our members understood exactly what I was presenting, so that they could.
I know it's approved, but I just had one question, since we're talking about it. Our revenue, the water billing, and all the billings, we've received different percentages. And I'm just curious, like, is that just because we were budgeted wrong? Like, the water revenues was 19%?
Yeah.
And you would think if we already sent out the bills, they should be pretty
They
consistent?
would have been consistent, I will tell you, last year. We didn't actually increase our water budget this year because last year watering was down quite a bit, and so we just kind of left it where it was. It was just low watering. We're gonna see an increase. It's normal for it to be around 19% right now because we
Okay.
haven't hit the irrigation season.
Oh, that makes sense.
Sewer, if you recall, with me adding the Metropolitan Council sewer treatment fee, I knew that some of that fee was already kind of calculated in the sewer revenue, and so I had adjusted that the first 2,000 gallons would be at no cost, but that was kind of a rough guess for me to see how sewer came in. And so sewer is the one that we really, really focused on in 2025 for rates, because we knew that the Met Council fee went up so high and we needed the balance. So I expect I think we'll see an uptick once irrigation happens, depending on what Mother Nature does for us this year, so.
We have of what we budgeted. Yeah.
I know, and I've already told Jeanette that I've got plans and work for kind of how to take that in consideration. However, if you recall, we only have around 200,000 in that fund, so I needed a little bit of a buffer to get these 3 projects going. So it's gonna buy us a buffer, whereas we have a buffer in water.
Maybe we should budget more for it.
I'm already getting phone calls. Hold on.
Well, because our revenues are, as you said.
And the other thing that it's not guaranteed right now, but for recycling, we are in a contract for organics right now, and we're very comfortable with where everything's going. Unfortunately, Hennepin County, if you realize it's a mandate that everyone has to be charged for organics, now Hennepin County is starting to backpedal on that.
Oh, really?
Actually, it's not Hennepin County. There's a
State, I'm sorry. I
yeah, there's
apologize,
a
state.
pending state legislation in the works.
So if that were to get reversed, we're still in a contract. And so we wouldn't necessarily be able to charge all of our residents, but we would still be being charged. So we need to start establishing a little bit of a buffer in recycling, just a couple of years back that we can't bill. So, and that's nothing to do with our,
Yeah, that's kind of
planning.
puts
It's
us,
state
everybody in a
legislation.
pickle.
It does.
It does,
And it'll
but-
be interesting to see how they deal with that.
So,
Love force mandates.
Yeah,
Unfunded force mandates.
so,
both doing and undoing of them.
Yeah.
A little more notice would be nice.
Right.
that is all I have. So thank you.
All right, great. Last call. All right, and the next meeting is on Tuesday, May 6th, potential work session, either 5 or 5:30, followed by a council meeting at 6:30. And before that, though, is the pancake breakfast, and I think you already have posted a quorum notice for that, or you will.
I did indeed, as well as for the candidate forum coming up for the Orono Council candidates. So
Got it, that's tomorrow night, Orono City
Correct.
Council Chambers or live stream.
I posted that on Friday, so you are absolutely covered should anyone choose to attend, so.
All right, great. All right, sounds good. I will adjourn the meeting by general consent at 7:28 PM.
I know. So I hear you're an East Coaster too. Where from?
Sister? Me? Sister?
Yep.